Okay, so now we want to actually look at what the dot align directive does for you. So we talked about in the last video how, for example, we would like to be able to advance to the next word boundary. And so let's look at the syntax of the dot align directive to see how that's going to help us do that. All right, so the first expression, that's this guy, after the dot align directive, specifies the number of low order 0 bits the location counter must have after advancement. All right, and we're not going to worry about the rest of this right now. Okay, so if I were to do the following directive, dot align 2, this means I'm looking for the next address that ends in 0, 0, and that would be in binary, in the bits. So we're looking for the binary addresses that end in 0, 0. So let's do that. I've written out a few addresses here. I've written them out in hex and in binary, so we can see. All right, so the first address that ends in 0, 0 is 0. The next address that ends in 0, 0 is 4. The next one that ends in 0, 0 is 8. The next one that ends in 0, 0 is C. The next one that ends in 0, 0 is 10 in hex, right? And the last one here in this representation, obviously this would go on way longer in actual in memory, is 1, 4. All right, so what do you notice about these addresses? Let's just list them out. We'll list out in hex. We got 0, 0, okay, 0, 4, 0, 8, 0, C, 1, 0, 1, 4. All right, so they are happening every 4 bytes of memory. We get a new starting address. What's special about this, hopefully you remember from the last video, we were looking at the word boundary. So this is where you'd like to start a word, this is where you'd like to start a word, this is where you'd like to start a word, this is where you'd like to start a word. So if you use this align directive, it's going to find the next location in memory. Let's say that the location counter maybe ends up here at OA, but you know that the next thing that you're going to want to put in memory is a word, so you put in this align to directive, and the location counter will now jump down to this location and start here, which is exactly what we want. It's right on the word boundary, right? And it's one of these multiples. If we look at the address in hex of 048C, 048C, right, ends with the last byte of the address. And that's exactly what we want for align. Now, I know that was very, very confusing, so in the homework I'm going to ask you to go back and see if you can figure this out for real. But let's go through let's just finish up that example in the book. So we're back to where we filled all the memory here, and in the video on this section we discovered that we had in this code between the .byte directive and the .word directive, we were going to be starting this word not on a word boundary. We're going to be starting it on something that ended with a 2 instead of something that ended on a 14. So what you want to do is in between these two commands, we would want to put in an align directive 2 that will advance that memory location counter to this 14. And I think the book actually gives you that, or shows you the listing with the properly aligned data, and that's exactly what they do. And that's exactly what you are going to do in the homework, which hopefully we will all be straightened out on this week.